Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Genius Knowledge Point, your go-to place for practical programming solutions for diploma, computer and IT students. If you are stuck on any practical assignment or just want to learn how to solve programs step by step, then you are in the right place. The main purpose of making this video is to provide practical knowledge to all diploma students so that they can develop their own programs which will be helpful for their future. This video is about practical number 18 of object-oriented programming, which is under Diploma Computer and IT, third semester, and for case scheme. So this practical number 18 is write a program which show the use of function overloading. So in this practical, we are going to see concept of function overloading. So let us go to the practical related questions. In exercise related questions, there are no program generating questions, that is the programming questions are not given. You just have to copy the entire code which is given in the manual, then paste it into your compiler, run that code, and you have to write the output. So we are not creating any program there, the program is already given inside your manual. So let us move to the practical related questions directly. So first question is, write a C++ program to interchange the values of two integer, float and characters using function overloading. So we have to use the function overloading concept and we have to interchange the values, that is we have to accept two numbers, two integer values, two float values, two character values, then we have to interchange them. So before actually going to the coding part or function overloading concept, we have to see how to interchange in the programming. So whenever we are doing interchange using function, we have to consider some points. So let us move to the method generation. So if I am generating this method, that is void swap, inside that I am just taking two integer parameters, that is int x and int y. So int x comma int y, these are my parameters, and inside the swap function I am doing the coding of interchanging. So what I am doing, I am taking an integer variable which is a temp, which is called a temporary variable to store the value. So as you know that whenever you are interchanging two values, you need a temporary variable. So for that purpose I am taking int temp is equal to x. So what it will do, it will copy the value of x into temporary variable. Then I am doing x is equal to y. So whatever the value is stored into y, that will be copied into x, and finally I am writing y is equal to temp. So whatever the value is inside temp, that will be stored into y. So suppose inside your program, if you consider x is equal to 20 and y is equal to 30, so what will happen, 20 will be copied to temp, then x is equal to y, this statement will run. So whatever the value is inside y, that will copy to x, so x will become 30. Then final statement is y is equal to temp, so the value which is inside temp, which is 20, that will be inside y. So after interchange, what will happen, x will become 30 and y will become 20. So this is how the interchange will happen using this function. But what will happen whenever we are calling the function using function call statement, that is inside the main function, or whenever we are calling the function, what I will do, I will call the function as a swap. This is the function name. Then inside that I am passing two parameters, that is num1 and num2. So suppose num1 is having value as a 10 and num2 is having value as a 50. So what will happen here, whenever I am calling the function, num1 value will be copied to x variable and num2 value will be copied to y variable, which are parameter for swap function. So the 10 and 50 will be copied here, and whenever this operation will be done, the values will be swapped, that is x will become 50 and y will become 10. But the original values which are inside num1 and num2, those are not affected. The num1 is still having 10 and num2 is still having 50, because we have done the swapping on copies of the num1 and num2. So this 10 and 50 are copied into x and y first, then their operation is done. So after the swapping, if you print the num1 and num2 value, you will see there is no change in the value. The values are still 10 and 50. So this is how the swapping cannot be done directly using normal functions, because the swapping function will do the swapping on copies of the parameters. So whatever the parameter you are passing, num1 and num2, those will be copied to x and y. Their operation will be done and x will become 50, y will become 10, but these are the copies. These are not actual num1 and num2. So that's why whenever you are printing num1 and num2 after this statement, your num1 is still 10 and num2 is still 50. So no interchange is happened here, no swapping is done. So for that purpose, what we have to do, we have to modify this function, because as the question is given, we have to use the function. You cannot directly swap the num1 and num2 inside your main program. So you have to use the function. So how to use this function for swapping? So whenever there is a swapping, what you have to do, you have to modify this function, and instead of passing the actual values, what you have to do, you have to pass the addresses. So what I will change here, I will pass int, instead of normal x, I will pass ampersand x, comma, int ampersand y. So now what has changed here? So if you pass the num1 and num2 directly here, it will not do swapping. But now what I am passing addresses of num1 and num2 here. So ampersand x means whatever the parameter is passed there, it will take the address of that parameter. Similarly for num2, it will take the address of parameter. So it will not generate the swapping on copies, it will generate the swapping on their addresses. So using this method, what you can do, your actual parameters will change. Actual num1 and num2 will be gone here. And this is how the actual swapping will be done. So this is how you have to do swapping always. Whenever you will see a swapping question, what you have to do, you don't have to pass the parameters directly, you have to pass their addresses. Then only your swapping will be done. Otherwise, you will see no change in the values of your actual parameters or actual numbers. So this is how the swapping is done. So let us move to the coding part. So as the question is given, you have to do swapping on multiple values. That is, first you have to do swapping of integers, then you have to do swapping of float values, then you have to do swapping of characters, and you have to use the concept of function overloading. So before that, we will see what is function overloading. So function overloading is whenever you are designing or defining a function and you are creating its copies with same name but different set of parameters. So if you see the definition, function overloading is defining a function or multiple functions having same name but different set of parameters, then it will become function overloading. So this is your theory concept. So what I am doing here, I am designing a function that is void swap 3 times, but every time what I am doing, I am changing the parameters inside the bracket. So these are the inputs that will be passed into the function, and these functions are these inputs are different every time. If you see, the first inputs are integer addresses, second inputs are float addresses, and third inputs are character addresses. Why I am doing addresses? Because as we have seen in this example, that you have to pass the addresses to have a swapping function. So first I am designing a function. Here the class definition is not mentioned, so I am directly taking a function here. So I am designing a function that is void swap. Inside that, as we have seen in the board, that you have to pass the addresses here. So I am passing addresses as int ampersand a, this is the parameter, and I am passing as an address, then comma int ampersand b. So this is second parameter. So both the parameters addresses will be taken. Then I am doing the swapping function here. as you have seen in the diagram. So int temp is equal to a is equal to b is equal to temp. So we have swapped, or we have interchanged the values using third temporary variable. So this is how the swapping will be done here. Similarly, I am defining one more function, void swap. It is having same name but different set of parameters. So this becomes function overloading. So we have designed two swap functions, but their parameters are different. So inside it, again I am taking input as the two float addresses. So float ampersand a comma float ampersand b. So these are the parameters of float values and passed as address. Again I am taking a third variable for interchange. Float temp is equal to a is equal to b, and b is equal to temp. So this is how the swapping will be done on float values. Third, I am taking one more swap function with same name, but the parameters are changed. As the question is given, we have to do on characters. So I am taking character addresses. So char ampersand a comma char ampersand b. So this is how the swapping will be done on two characters. Again the same method is used using third temporary variable. So all the three functions are defined here. All the functions are having same name but different set of parameters. So these are function overloading. But how to call those functions, because their names are same. If you see, all the three functions are having same name as a swap. So how to call them? So while calling them, you have to pass the respective data types, that is the parameters. Then the respective method will be, or the respective coding will run. If you pass two integers here, it will run this coding. Then while calling, if you pass two float values here, it will run this coding. And if you pass two characters here, it will run this coding. So this is how these three functions are differentiated. That is, these are having same name but different set of parameters. So this is how their function calling is differentiated. Then you can call any function with the set of parameters. So moving toward the main function, int main, then I am taking two numbers, two float values, two character values. Then I am entering a message, enter two integers separated by space. As I am accepting two integers and I am using same cin function. So whenever you are using same cin for accepting two or more values, you have to separate those values by space. So using this statement, what I am doing, cin num1 and attachment of num2. So what it will do, it will accept num1 first and num2 as the second value. And inside that you have to consider the space in between. So while inputting the numbers, you have to put space in between these two numbers, then only they will be separated. Otherwise it will be accepted as num1 only. Similarly for float values and character values. So all the 6 values are accepted here as two numbers, two float values and two character values. Now it is time to call the functions. So I am calling the function. So how I am calling? Swap. This is my function name, and inside that I am passing two numbers, that is num1 and num2. And if you see, num1 and num2 are integer values. So what it will do, it will run this function. It will not run float value or character value function. Why? Because we are calling it using integer values. So it will run integer parameter function only. So this is how the first swap function will be called. Similarly, I am passing two float values to the swap function, that is swap f1 comma f2. So it will run the second function. Then similarly, I am calling the third function, which will run this function. So this is how all the three functions are run here, and they will not mix up because they are called separately using their separate parameters. So the swapping will be done here after these three functions. Now it is time to display the result. So I am putting just a message after swapping. This is my message. Then endl is there to move the cursor to next line. Then I am putting cout number1 is equal to attaching num1 value, then again attaching comma number2 is equal to attaching num2 value, and moving cursor to next line. So how it will display? Number1 is equal to num1 and number2 is equal to num2 value. So this is how it will display the result. Similarly for float and characters. So whatever the numbers are stored inside f1 and f2, those will be interchanged. after running this statement. The value of f1 will be gone to f2 and value of f2 will be gone to f1. So this is how the interchange will happen for characters, float and numbers. Finally I am putting getch to hold the output screen, and return 0 is there as the main is returning integer. So the coding is complete here. Copying entire code, going to compiler, pasting it here, then running the code. So it is asking me to enter two integers separated by space. I am entering 12, 23. Then float values 56.23 space 78.12. Then two characters, I am entering A space B. All the values are accepted here. Then after swapping, this is the message we have printed. Then the numbers are printed according to their formatting. So number 1 is equal to 23. If you see, while entering I have entered 12 first, then 23 second. So num2 is 23, num1 is 12. But after swapping, what it is displaying, number 1 has 23 and number 2 is equal to 12. So your swapping is done here. Similarly for float, 78.12, this is the second float value, and 56.23, this is the first float value. So swapping is done. Again character B is printed first and A as a second. So the character swapping is also done. So this is how we can do function overloading, which is having same name but different set of parameters, and while calling them you have to pass their respective parameters, then only its definition will be called, otherwise different function will be called. Then we have done the swapping using the concept of passing addresses. So this is called call by reference method, because whenever you are not passing addresses, it is called call by value method, and call by value method is not working in case of swapping. So already we have seen why it is not working in case of swapping. So the first question is complete here. Moving toward the second question, write a C++ program that finds the sum of two int and double numbers using function overloading. So again you have to use the concept of function overloading, that is the function will be having same name but different set of parameters, and how the parameters are given, we have to calculate the sum of two integers and two double values. So in one function we will be having two integers as a parameters, and in second function we will be having two double values as parameters. So this is how the function overloading will be done here. And directly moving to the coding part. So initially both the header files are included. Then I am defining function directly. So I am taking int sum. So instead of void, I am taking integer as a return type, and sum is the function name, and inside that I am passing parameters int a and int b. In the previous program, what we have done the swapping of two numbers. So that time we have to pass the addresses as a parameters. But here we are not doing any operation on the actual numbers. You are not doing any swapping function. So you can directly take normal parameters. So call by value method will be applicable here. So int a as a first parameter, int b as a second parameter. As given in the question, we will be doing sum of two numbers. So that's why I am taking int a comma int b. Two integer values are taken, and inside the function I am just writing the statement return a plus b. So what it will do, it will calculate this expression. This is a plus b, so addition is the answer of this expression, and it will be returned because we have taken integer as the return type. So as we do in the main function, whenever we close the main function, we write return 0 because the main is having integer return type. Similarly, the sum is having integer return type. So return a plus b will be the addition, and that will be returned here. So while calling the sum function, what you have to do, you have to use some variable, and that variable should be having integer return type. Then we can store this sum value into that variable. So this is how it will be called, that we will see in the main. So the first function is complete, which is doing sum of two integer values. So second function is double sum double a comma double b. So the same function is defined again, but the difference is I have passed two different parameters as a double values. So sum, these are the having same name but different set of parameters. That's why it will become function overloading. So double is the return type of this function because we are calculating addition of two double values. So again I am writing return a plus b. So again it will do addition of these two values, that is a and b, and that will be returned to the outside of the function. And if you see, the parameters names are taken same, but why they are taken same? Because their scope is different. If you see, the value of a and b, or the scope of a and b is limited to this function, because these are the local variable of some function 1 and these are the local variable of second function. So you can see, you can take the same name here because both the a and b values are different. So this is how both the functions are designed here. Now moving toward the main function, that is int main, then I am taking two integers, that is int1 comma int2. So int1 comma int2, these are the two integer values. Then double1 comma double2, these are the two double values. So as given in the question, we have to accept these two integers and two doubles. So for that we have to take these variables. Then using cout I am entering a message, enter two integers, and using cin I am accepting both the integer values. You have to remember that you have to put a space in between these two numbers while entering into the output screen. Similarly, the double values will be accepted. Then I am calling the function. How I am calling the function? Int sum, this is the variable which is the integer variable, is equal to sum, this is the function name, and this is the first parameter, this is second parameter. So I have passed two parameters to the sum function. What it will do? It will identify the signature. Signature means the type of parameters we have passed. We have passed two integer values. So what it will do? It will search for two integer parameter function. So this is the function. It will run this function, and while running it will return the value, that is a plus b. So what it will do? It will return the parameter addition, that is int1 plus int2, and that returning value will be stored into the variable. So this is how the function is called. Whenever it is having return type, you have to take one variable which is having same type as the return type, and you have to store that value into that variable. So this is how the function will be called. Its answer will be addition, and that addition is stored into int sum. This is the variable for sum. Similarly, I am taking one more variable double sum is equal to, same method is applied here. I am passing two double values to the sum function. So it will run the second function definition. It will generate the answer here, and that answer will be stored into double sum variable. So finally I am putting the message as a cout, sum of int1 and int2 is, I am writing the int sum variable. So what it will display? It will display the sum of number 1 and number 2 is, it will display the addition value. So similarly for double values, that is sum of double 1 and double 2 is double sum. So it will display the addition here. So this is how the output is printed. This is the formatting part. I am just attaching multiple strings and values using the attachment, and finally I am attaching the value of actual answer. So this is how the coding is done here. Finally getch is there to hold the output screen, and I am finally returning 0 because main is having integer return type. The coding is complete here. Copying entire code, going to compiler, pasting the code, then running the code. So it is asking me to enter two integers. I am entering 20 space 30. You have to remember that you have to put space in between because the values are taken in single statement. Enter two double values, taking 10.5656 space 70.8989. So the answer is generated here, sum of 20 and 30. So this is how we have formatted the output. So sum of, this is the message, then I am attaching a number value, that is num1, and this is again a string value, that is message, then again attaching second value, this is the message, colon is part of message, and 50 is the int sum variable. So this is how the formatting is done. So it has displayed the sum properly, and finally the program is done here. Now the third question is, write a C++ program to find the area of various geometrical shapes by function overloading. So we have to do function overloading here, and we have to calculate the area of different shapes. So as you are defining a function overloading here, so you will be having the same function name, that will be the area function name. Then various geometrical shapes are given. So for that purpose, how to differentiate them, you have to pass different inputs to the function, that is different set of parameters. So for various geometrical shapes you can accept different inputs, then you can do function overloading here. So directly moving to the code. So initially including both the header files, then I am defining a class here. So I am doing function overloading, but I am doing it inside the class. So I am defining a class shape, then inside the public section I am taking a method, that is a function void area. This is the function name, void is the return type. So this function is not returning anything, so we have to print our output inside the function. So this is the function name, this is the return type. Then I am taking int x as the parameter. So this function is taking single integer value as a parameter. So inside the function definition, what I am doing, I am calculating area as int a is equal to, this is the local variable, int a is equal to x into x. So I am doing square of the parameter. So x into x means whatever the value is passed here, that will be squared, and then I am storing that result into a variable, that is a. Then I am putting a message, area of square is, so this function is regarding area of square. So area of square is attaching a value, which is the calculation part, and finally ending with endl. So this is how the function 1 is complete, which is the name having area. Then again I am defining function with same name, void, this is the return type, function name is same, area. Then inside the parameters I am passing two integer values. So int x comma int y. So inside bracket two integer values are passed, and in the first function one integer value is passed. So this is how we are differentiating two different functions, which is having same name but different set of parameters. So that's why again it will become function overloading. So inside this function, what I am doing, int a is equal to x into y. So I am doing multiplication of both the parameters, and that value will be stored into a variable, which is a local variable. Then cout area of rectangle, this is the message. So area of rectangle is attaching a value, which is calculated here, and finally ending the statement and ending the function. So we have designed two functions. First function is having area name and one integer parameter. Second function is having same name but two integer parameters. So this is how our functions will be differentiated while calling. So this becomes function overloading, and it is inside a class shape. So it is for class shape. We have designed two functions having same name but different parameters. So this is how function overloading is done inside class. So finally class is closed. Going to the main function, so void main, then first clearing the output screen, taking two integer values. So int side1 comma side2, these are the two integer variables. Then taking object of shape class, that is shape s. So I am next entering a message, that is enter side1. So using scene accepting the side1 value, then using scene again accepting the side2 value. So both the values are accepted. So first I am calling s.area, and inside the bracket I am passing side1 only. So as you have passed a single integer here, so it will run this definition, which is having single integer as a parameter. Then again I am calling the same function s.area, but this time I am passing two parameters, that is side1 comma side2. So two integer values are passed, so it will identify the function definition of this, and it will run this code. So it will run this code, and it will display the area of rectangle here. So for this statement it will display as an area of square, and for this statement it will display area of rectangle. And finally the coding is complete, so get ch is there to hold the output screen, and main is also closed here. So copying the entire code, then taking a new file, pasting the code and running the code into compiler. So it is asking me to enter side 1, so I am entering 20, side 2 as 30, and both are the integer values. So it has calculated area of square as 400, so it has taken 20 only for calculation of square because square is having single side. Then it has calculated the area of rectangle as 600, which is multiplication of 20 and 30. So this is how both the areas are calculated using function overloading, and we have done it using a class. So we have done function overloading inside a class. So this is how this question is ended, and also the practical number 18 is also ended, which is regarding function overloading. For the third question we have done the function overloading inside the class, and for first and second question we have done function overloading without the class. And in the first question we have done function overloading using call by reference method. So this is how the practical is ended here. So that's it for today's practical. I hope this helped you understand the solution clearly. Code for this practical is available at the link given in the description. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel for more such diploma level programming solutions. If you have any doubts or need solutions for other programs, drop a comment below. I will be happy to help. And hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching and happy coding.